Animation is a method by which still figures to appear as moving images. A wide example of that are the cartoons that you watch when you are younger. And in this video you'll learn how animations work in CSS. By looking at your screen, you can already see here the body that has some centering for the text, background color a little bit changed, and we also have a title with the Arial font. Then we have three divs. One of the divs having the flexbox class, and this flexbox has the display flex, align items and justify content so it gets centered. Now those two divs are the stars of this video. The first div, the parent, has the class parent, and the child has the parent child. And as you can see here, they are both really big. You see, this is 400 for 400, and they are a square, a big square, brown, and a small circle, blue. You can see here, we are going to try to make some animations. Not now, but I'm going to try start setting up the animations. So you can see here that we have a circle and we have a square. The circle is exactly 50% of the square. So what you can do is, for testing purposes, creating a pseudo class by hovering the parent, the child gets different. And the value that we are going to change for the child is going to be probably the width and height, so it gets bigger. The first thing is the parent. So the parent is going to be the one hovered, so parent hover. And now we want to change the child, so we put child after it. Then we put here the curly brackets and let's go. Let's first just change this for 100 each. And it is already working. Of course, it's not an animation or even a transition. It is not anything at all. But something that we can start doing is preparing the animation. When you write animation, you see a lot of different stuff. Can you guess the most important animation property? Well, if you set a name, it's true. It's the name. But right after the name, it's the duration. And the duration, it's the time that the animation will take. So we are going to leave it for 2 seconds right now. Then we also have the animation delay. I don't know what's happening with my Visual Studio Code. Animation delay. Let's go. And now we are going to set it for 0 seconds, which is the default one. And I really don't like delay at all. It's simply the time that it takes to even start the animation. The next animation property that we are going to cover is the animation timing function. Well, it's something like, it's a way that you manage the speed of the animation. Of course, you cannot really surpass this duration. The only thing that you can do is, you can divide the amount of time that each state of the animation will take. As an example, the ease, which is the default one, is going to be smooth at the end, at the beginning. Ease in, smooth at the beginning, and ease out, smooth at the end. Ease in and out, it's really close to the ease, but a little bit more smoother. You also have the cubic bezier, which is special for his possibilities. But one thing that's really important about it is that if you're not using the 101 or some negative ones, I'm going to put here this one that I really like. The 101 and the minus stuff is the most creative thing that you can do with the cubic bezier. Another way, you should probably use simply the ease in and ease out. I'm going to copy this animation timing function. You also have the steps. Step end, when the duration ends, it's going to step to the end. It's not going to animate pretty much anything. And the step start, guess what? Of course, it's going to, instead of waiting for the duration to finish, it is only going to wait for the delay. It is going to before the duration even starts. Now, we also have another important stuff, such as the integration count, which you can put infinite, which will happen infinitely, or just 4. Imagine that you want to make your animation take a little bit more time. Instead of more time, more moves. So, this way, it is going to happen multiple times. You also have the animation fill mode, which is what is going to happen when it finishes. The backwards is the default one. When the animation finishes, it is going to the first state. Meanwhile, the forward, it's going to stay still at the end point. Let's stick with the backwards, and we also have the direction. You can put it normal or reverse. The normal, it's normal. The reverse, it's going to start at the end and finish at the start. And you also have the alternate and alternate reverse, which is when you finish, it's going to take the same way back instead of jumping to the beginning. And now, finally going back to the animation name, it's where you need to specify the name of the animation. You can put here circle animation, that there is a problem with it. Although this is nothing if you don't keep moving to the next step, which is the keyframes. The keyframe is something like the media query. It needs to be its own selector, and it also needs to have a name, such as functions in programming languages. and the name of it is going to be circle animation. Now, there's two different ways of doing this keyframe animation. The from and the 2 points. And this is simply going to set the start and the end values of each property that you decide to make. So as an example, I can put translate, no, not translate, transform, translate, and put something like 0, 0, because it's the beginning, we don't want to move at all. And we can also put here the 100, 100, so it goes to the complete opposite spot. And after this, we also can change the colors, so background color, and we are going to put here some dark blue. Oh my god. Let me put this, and now, oh no, it doesn't. So let me get the RGB right here. I'm going to change, well, I don't know why, but my Visual Studio Code is a little bit broken. I'm just going to put it something like this. I don't even imagine the color. I'm going to copy this, Ctrl Z, and now we are going to get to this color. With this, we are going to move this way, you know, we are going to move this way, and we are also going to change the color. So let's hover it, and nothing happens. So guess what's the problem here? Of course, the problem is here. It's not keyframe, but keyframes, because they are always more than one. Now, let's hover it, and there we go. The animation is already happening, you see? It is already going down and up, and at the beginning it takes a little bit more impulse, so it gets faster. That's the cubic bezier, of course. And we also can change this here. Remove the from, because since we are using the default values, we don't really need to have a from. Bah, and it becomes darker, you see? Up to here it is pretty similar to the transition. If you are interested, I have a video on the cards and description. Now we are going to do it completely differently. Let's remove these two and remove all of this. The second way we are going to do stuff is with a shorthand, so you also get used to the shorthand of the animation. The first thing that you need to put after this animation here is the name of the keyframe, so circle animation. Then you also need to put the time, 1 second, pocket duration. You could also make the 0 for the delay, but I'm not going to really use the delay, so put here the is or is in out, just to make it smoother. Now a semicolon. There's also another way of managing these keyframes here, which are with percentages. We are going to use the 0, 33, 66 and 100. So this 0, it's something like the from, and this 100, something like the 2. It's the beginning and at the end. What we are going to put here is transform, translate and 0, 0. So we specify that we don't want to be moving at all. Next one, we are going to put the 0 and 100. So this is not the translate X or Y. This is going to be the normal translate, which can receive the both X and Y. So we are here, in this case it's the Y. Now we're going to paste and make the other 100 as well, so it gets to the right bottom corner. And you may imagine that, yes, we want to have it rounding all the square, the circle. So lastly we are going to put the one that's left, 0, 100, so 100, 0. And it gets to the top right corner. Let's have a look. There you go. But there are still a lot of problems with it. The first problem is that I don't want to keep moving my mouse so it still works. So I'm going to put here the amount of time that I want it to happen. So 3 times. It is now happening 3 times in a row. More automatic. But as you can see, when I remove my mouse, it goes to the start position, and I want it to be kept in the later position, in the ending, the 100% position. So I'm going to put here forwards. This way, when it finishes the 3 animations, it is going to be left in the right position, in the ending of the animation. Now we also want to have something more automatic, so we are going to put here infinite. And we are also going to have the direction, so we are going to put here alternate. Not reverse alternate, but alternate, because this way it's going to work in the normal direction, but in this case it's going to always come back instead of jumping to the beginning. So this way, becoming smoother. Now the really last thing that I want to show you guys, it's the animation play state, which we are going to left paused every time we hover the parent. So when we hover, instead of it really starts, instead of having it running, it's going to already start paused, but this way the animation is going to happen. You can put the animation by default, putting it in the selector, and on pause when we hover. When we hover.
serious?
You don't really need to change the value of a property in every single state. As an example, I could put here the background of black. Let's change the color a little bit. So let's just put here this green here, and I can put this in here. Okay, let's just start with the default, of course, and we are going to always end with this RGB. Let's check it. You see, it gets green. And I just put the property and the value at the really end of keyframes. I'm Diogo Veigas, and with this you've learned how animations work in CSS.